Have you ever had coincidences that were so unlikely that you had to know that there is so much more than the 3D world and behind the scenes? My mother had a friend she met when she went to college when she was 16 years old. Different system, it was in India. She made friends with somebody who was 18, and they were great friends for the years they were together in college. So this would have been the late 1940s. Due to something happening in my mother's family, she had to leave college and then return a couple of years later. At this point, her friend, who was already older than her, had finished her master's and was now a professor there. Fast forward to the early 1960s. My mother, who really has a lot of luck and a lot of incredible opportunities that presented for her, she gets this full ride scholarship from India to do a master's degree at the University of Hawaii. By this time, she is in her late 20s. So she goes for 2 years, completes it. And on the way home to India, she decided to take a ship, I think the Queen Mary, to San Francisco, probably in the steerage, just the lowest class, then take a train to the East Coast. She stopped through Chicago because her friend from India, who was half European, half Indian, had moved to the States and was married with their first child. Then my mother was planning to just go back to India, get married, and spend the rest of her life in India. However, a couple of years later, she met my father, who had done a lot of education in the US, and he was now a professor in a master's program at a Canadian university. He was back in India visiting. They were introduced, both of them in their 30s, which was very old in the 1960s. My father returned to his university to teach. My mother waited for a visa so that she could get over there, and then they got married in Canada, actually. Fast forward 14 years or so. My sister and I are born by then, and my parents had taken up camping. And we go to New York State at this campground. My mother is just in the front in the morning, and she kind of follows this woman in front of her and goes, that's her friend that she knew in India and had, reconnected to in Chicago. She follows this woman to the bathroom. It was her friend. They reconnected. They stopped by Eastern Canada, where we lived, on their way back to Michigan. So what were the odds? This friend, who now was raising a family with 3 kids in Michigan now, would also be camping, would be in New York State at the same campground that our family was at, and we lived in Eastern Canada. Fast forward, 2018. I have a background as a physical therapist, and I had a contract in Sacramento. And my mother said, oh, my friend, the one I'm talking about, lives in Sacramento and near her daughter. So I went there, and I got to know her friend really well and their daughter. A couple of years ago, this friend of hers moved back to Michigan to an assisted living place. And she told me, you have to visit me because I have an extra bedroom. I decided last summer that I was doing a cross-country drive to commemorate my parents who had passed away in recent years, and that I would stop by this friend who was then 95 years old. We visited, and I'm so glad that I went because she passed away about 10 days ago. So our families have crossed each other through time and 3 countries, especially the random encounter at a campground that you can't say that something else was playing in the background.